Somebody, let's ask questions first, and I'll try and get through some of the questions before I get to the specifics. There's really a couple of big things I want to talk about. The Hillary Clinton emails, and how that's just exploded off the map now criminally, and also what's going on in Oregon, so we're going to get a whole rundown. On Oregon, I've questioned probably 30 people, interviewed Victoria Sharp, so I kind of have it all down. Dominic. See, I knew, look, he had a question, and I was psychically aware, and I called on him.
Knowing more about local politics, they don't have a lot of time. Thank you.
This afternoon I got an email from the Pacific Patriot number. Looks like they managed to get a hold of the serial number of the gun that they found on the dead guy. And they did a search on that. It looks like that was a reported stolen gun 2 years ago. You see that?
Now I'm going to answer your question. You know, Dominic's a Facebook buddy, so we share back and forth. And it's kind of neat, that little Facebook thing, isn't it? Get to see his smile every morning. Yeah. The man's got talent, I'm telling you. Anyway, okay, so a lot of rumors, a lot of misinformation, disinformation, and so on going around about the Lavoy Finicum shooting, and one of them popped up today. You probably heard that the FBI was reporting that Lavoy was reaching with his right hand to a pocket inside on the left side of his jacket, in which they found a 9mm gun. This is what I know about the 9mm gun. Lavoy does not own or possess or have ever had a 9mm gun, according to my sources, and I've talked to 3 sources that are very, very knowledgeable about Lavoy. Now, what is mentioned in this memo is a whole bunch of specifics about Lavoy's body being brought back and how he was shot, blah, blah, blah. And also about the weapon that was used. Having been involved with the crime, they have the serial numbers and all this stuff. I cannot confirm any of that. So I don't believe it until I can confirm it. So I would say go with caution on that. So if you're emailing these, excuse me, my number one compadre now has information. This is one of my information sources. I'm outing him right now. There's Alan back there.
Well, I don't know about information. I just wanted to know if you could confirm or deny that in that report from Blaine, he stated that Lavoy left his Colt or his single action or cowboy revolver.
It was a Ruger.
Yeah, at the compound or at the
right back at the refuge.
And that the earlier report that was mentioned that Lavoy was shot 9 times. Do you know about that?
I cannot confirm that. I cannot confirm the fact that he was shot in the face.
Okay. It wouldn't be the first time that 9mm that was stolen here
right.
before was ever planted, would it?
Well, do you think Lavoy, who was fighting for constitutionality, would be carrying a stolen gun? I don't think so. Not when he knows he's going to be facing law.
Now, somebody with their hand up. Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, that's the teacher in me coming out.
Did you see I saw it on Fox News, the video, either it was a drone or a helicopter. The white car stopped on the road for quite a while. They moved ahead, and then he races through that
snowbank.
Spike, yeah. The shooting was on video.
Yeah. We're going to see the video on the screen right now. There.
Okay.
We're going to start talking about that in a few minutes. And I'll give you the whole rundown based upon witnesses, real witnesses that were there, rather than the FBI, who was also there. Yeah. Anyway, but I can't confirm anything about shots at him, autopsy. I'm waiting to hear what the coroner has to say. And I know there's going to be a funeral, I think, Saturday. Where about in Utah? Coy Bab or something like that? Which one? Moab, yeah, okay. So that's going to be Saturday. Okay. Moab, Utah is going to be the funeral. I want to talk a little bit before we get into that about a great article that Carla put in your paper here, okay, from Catherine Herridge. And at Fox News, there's reporters I have a great deal of respect for, really do, and she's one of them. And let's see, Judge Napolitano is another one. He's awesome. And in fact, as I was doing my radio show this morning, I ran across a clip from July 9th of this year. And, people call me crazy, kooky, and all that stuff because I've been outing the Clintons about their emails and about Benghazi and Benghazi, and, that sort of thing. Of course, now they're realizing the truth. But he came out in July about the email situation we're going to talk about right now, and talked about the criminal behavior of Hillary Rodham Clinton. That was back in July. At some risk to himself, he went on Fox Business. Now, my understanding, you couldn't go on the regular Fox channel to make the statement. Okay, you gotta have to figure out how the news stream, media or the mainstream media plays their little game. There are people at Fox trying to get the good news out, right? That's what I'm trying to get to. Okay, this was an article that appeared Saturday. Are you guys following along here? Come on now, it's a learning thing. It's on the last page. Official withheld Clinton emails, withheld Clinton emails contain operational intel and put lives at risk. Okay, I'm trying to get this across to my audience. And tonight, when we're done, and you go and turn on your radio to 1410 AM, KMYC, you'll get more of me talking about this. And also about more explanation for LaVoy. And I know, how many of you are going to do that when you leave here? Raise your hand. 1410 AM on your radio. Okay.
Paul?
Yeah.
Can I ask that any couple that has two bulletins that we can have a couple because there are people that don't have one? There's one here. And we need one more.
Here's one right here.
Thank you.
This was just the one sitting up here. It's the same. Yeah, it's on the website.
Where's Deborah
In
Gaylord?
fact, I think it's the second article on my
It's for
website.
Deborah Gaylord.
There's a series of email stories there.
Huh?
And this is by
Yeah,
Catherine
he'll take it
Herridge
to Deborah.
of CNN, or oh God, Fox News.
There's Deborah.
This is something they'd never friend. I'll kind of cut through the whole chase here. How many of you, and I've told you guys before, how many of you have had top secret clearances in the military at varying degrees? Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's different levels of secrecy, right? Classified is less secret than top secret, correct? And then there's like gradients in between and stuff. And then you get the stuff you don't even ever get to see, right? I call it the double secret probation stuff. It's for eyes only, and really maybe 15 or 20 people in the world get to see it. Is that correct? It's beyond top secret. It's the black hole of secrecy. Okay, now the Clinton emails, we've known about this email server. We first reported it. Really, we thought we were getting information back in the Benghazi attack about emails going out. This is what they were telling us. Emails were going out describing the positions of our American mission and the position of the CIA annex about 4 months before the attack. We didn't know where the emails were from. We have a really good idea now. But of course, this has been something that's kind of run, through the circuitry, if you will, of the new stream media. And so in 2014 of April, we first reported, that there was this guy by the name of Guccifer out there. And he's a hacker. Well, Guccifer is actually the Russians. And they figured out that Hillary Rodham Clinton had a private email server. And they figured it out because of Sidney Blumenthal. They hacked into Sidney Blumenthal's email, which was private, non-secure. And they figured out, oh, there's this person called Clinton on the emails that were scamming off of Sidney Blumenthal. Sidney Blumenthal was working behind the scenes with Hillary Rodham Clinton as she was Secretary of State, unpaid and without permission of the Obama administration. So it was just a clear thing. Once you have one email, you have the whole server, right? I mean, that's really the way it works. So all those emails just basically remained open until recently, which meant they had top secret and beyond top secret access to Hillary Rodham Clinton and the United States secrets. We reported that in April of 2014. So that's what's prompted this whole investigation. Do you see how critical this is? Okay. Now, this most recent revelation is that and by the way, yeah, the emails about Benghazi, the attack, the stuff we first started hearing back about in 2012 is all true. If you go and see the movie, 13 Hours, that was an attack by Al-Qaeda on our American forces. It wasn't an attack by the Libyan people. That was a set-up attack so that they could take all the arms that the CIA had gathered up, take those arms and then ship them off to Syria and put it in the hands of ISIS. That's how the Obama administration, with Hillary's help, created ISIS. Get it? There is a solid track record of emails that show that right now. And that's what Napolitano was talking about back in July. Was that record exist? It's clear. And many members of Congress have their hands dirty in gun smuggling. Do I say John Boehner? By the way, that's why he resigned. That's why he resigned, because the FBI went to his little door and said, "Hey, John, will you talk to us?" And he resigned. Get it? This is where this is all going. Now, recently, of course, he claims, hey, they weren't marked top secret. I want to add, Larry, I'm outing him, he had top secret clearance. Larry, if you had one of those emails in your possession, where would you be today? I'm sorry, did you say Leavenworth? Okay, she has about 30 to 50,000 of these emails and information on her server. And they're saying that they have right now, according to Catherine as of this morning, 1,500 of these emails that I'm going to talk about. Okay? Now,
that's the crypto clearances your highest.
uh-oh. Are we going to get arrested if we hear that term, crypto clearance? Okay. And okay, since you know something about it, and I'm kind of like the reporter here, correct me if I'm wrong as I'm telling you all this stuff, okay? If you think I'm wrong. And this is why I got to get this story out to everybody so you understand how clear this is. In the other classification systems, you could actually cut and paste and then email forward information on so-called secure servers without the headline, exactly, without the classification. And that's what Uma Abedin and Cheryl Mills and the other guy, the Irish guy, has to be an Irish guy. I'm sorry, I'm Irish. I can't remember his name. Oh, Jake Sullivan. See, Sullivan. Anyway, that's what they were doing. Now, we discovered, in about this, Chris Street and I did, we discovered at about the same time as the Benghazi Commission that was with Darrell Issa, an espionage ring. And what it was is we got the emails that we get emails from people that would surprise you where we get them from, and we can't tell you who they are. So the ISA Commission gets these emails. We got a hold of 18 of the emails that the Commission had. and nobody else had the emails except us. Chris took some. Shouldn't have Chris like this. He took some, and I took some. And then we started comparing those emails to Larry Klayman's group. And Larry Klayman's group, Judicial Watch, had the same emails through a FOIA request. So we did a side-by-side. We did a side-by-side and said, okay, this is the commission's, this is Larry's. And we noticed the two are different. Same emails, redactions were different. The one over here from the commission, all the CC and everybody it was sent to was redacted. Over here, the names were still left on from Larry Klayman's group. So we did a side-by-side. We said, well, who are these guys? And there were 6 names of Muslim descent that stuck out in every one of those. And I said, Chris, what about your 12? Oh, yeah, they're here too. Well, really? It just took us maybe 5 minutes to figure out they're related to the Muslim Brotherhood. And they work in the State Department and the Defense Department and so on. So obviously, this is now at the level of an espionage ring. This is espionage. Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, right? What happened here and what's happening about what I'm going to tell you next is beyond the pale. It makes like Julius and Ethel Rosenberg look like pikers. Literally. Like ice cream salesmen. That's the magnitude here. That's why I'm trying to get this across to people so you understand when you get into the what kind of crypto?
Cryptocurrency.
All right. Yeah, making sure. I want to get the language down. Crypto, that sounds exciting. Crypto clearances. There's 2 varieties of them. One, I'll give you the abbreviations of the acronyms, SCI and SAP. These are operational bits of information. They are about people in the field, troop transportation, when there's going to be a mission out, all that stuff. And can only be seen eyes only on a screen. These computers do not have the ability to email. You cannot copy and paste. You cannot forward. Okay, you get my drift. And every night, where these emails or these computers are located, you have to take the hard drives out and put them in a safe. 1,300 initially, now it's up to 1,500 bits of information from that has now been tracked to Hillary's computers. Does that explain Benghazi? Does it explain Extortion 17? About the bring down of the helicopter that killed, 17 Navy SEALs from SEAL Team 6 in Afghanistan as payback, they say. All this operational mission stuff was included on Hillary's email server. Almost every secret we have in this nation has been leaked out through Hillary's server to you name it. That's what we're dealing with. I mean, if that doesn't make Julius and Ethel Rosenberg look like pikers, I don't know what does. But I want to get that explanation so you know that what they had to do in order to get the information off the screen, somebody had to take a picture with a cell phone, or they had to transcribe it. So somebody who sits at that screen had to leave the screen and somebody come in. The people that they're looking at, Uma Abedin, as one of the people that has access to that and was actually copying that information down. So that's the significance. Do you see the enormity of this? They are going to charge her. It will happen. I don't see how they can't. I just don't. It will happen. According to Chris Street, who really he's in on all the Washington things, he says 2 months, within 2 months. And they're already talking about it big time all throughout Washington. Yes, sir?
I hope you're right, because Soros just put $6 million in Hillary PAC.
Right.
So it don't sound like she's going to get any money.
Well, the problem is She needed that money to keep herself afloat through this weekend because nobody's donating to her political cause right now. I don't know if you know that or not. No one's donating. Alan?
It's my understanding that through the leaks of those emails that there were over 100 CIA agents dead. Can you expound on
It's
that?
103 that were killed. The good CIA guys were killed, and that was a result of those emails. That's 103, just so we know of. And that's what, in part, I think this article is about. I can tell you that because of my sources, and they've been burned up about it for a long time. Yeah.
So Chris Stevens was killed because he found out about the gun run.
Yeah. The assassinator.
And do you think that some of these emails, that the Russians and the Chinese hacked them, and that's what's behind this uranium selling and crap in the West?
Ding, 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 ding. You are the winner. I just love what happened. I'll give you some thorium, which I'm about to do. Did you guys get what he said? Is this something that has to do with this thing in the West here in Oregon? These emails? And I went ding, 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 ding. Yes, it does. It has everything to do with it. It really, truly does. What's that?
Don't put any fentanyl in it.
No, we don't want to do that. He's talking about emails as related to Hillary Rodham Clinton and the Clinton Foundation, and what's called a business called Uranium One. And Uranium One is an entity called, I think it's called Oregon Inc., and it operates out of Harney County, and it's perhaps one of the richest uranium and richest thorium deposits on the earth. No, the Russians have already bought the rights. They paid off Hillary Clinton for the rights, and the Clinton Foundation. Emails. I think they own 50% of our reserves. We do. Carla, you gonna correct me on something?
No, I was gonna ask you, is that blackmail money? Do you think that they were blackmailing her? And that was her payoff to them?
Well, could be. I wouldn't, put it past them. Could they? But here's the problem. A co-owner in this, and by the way, this is why I brought my actual notepad from which I take double secret information I can't show you. Crypto notes. Actually, they have names on here. I should never put those names on. I'm sorry. There's a name right here I'm more than happy to tell you about. It's a name that says Bill Gates. Bill Gates. Bill Gates is part owner of TerraPower. Earth Power, Terra, Earth Power, right? He owns, it's a company that designs and produces thorium reactors. Not uranium, but thorium reactors. Now, he owns one of the largest, there's two extremely large deposits of thorium on the planet. One is in India, and Bill Gates owns it. Hello. And the other one is, the Mahir Refuge in Harney County. In fact, there's so much free thorium on the ground there, you can actually kick it around in clods. The amount of thorium that's up there is estimated to provide enough energy for this nation for 500 years, completely radioactive free. Clean energy. Can you imagine how much that's worth? That's trillions upon trillions of dollars of value. Enough free energy for all of us, in America, for 500 years. Well, that's for us to do. To me, it's exciting times. So anyway, that's how these emails are relating back and forth. So do you get the drift about why Harney County is so important to the One World Order people? You've got people like Jerry Brown involved there. Big time player there. Remember Kitzenhofer, the governor who resigned in disgrace because he was taking money, or his girlfriend was, taking money from Tom Steyer. one of the partners in all this stuff. Get what's happening here. So this is a pretty big scandal, and one of the things they want to do is make sure it doesn't get out and be known to the public. Well, I've outed you guys. Now you all know, please go forth and tell people about this. Does that help you understand what's happening there? The big web of Hillary Rodham Clinton? That's just the tip of the iceberg. The FBI has been up there seizing court records in Burns because of various transactions by the Clinton Foundation. That's one of the things they're doing up there. Any more questions about that before? Yes, Tom?
Do you think that Ammon Bundy was on to any of that? Or is this just a land?
100% he's onto it. 100%. You see, because the Bundy Ranch situation, and I asked this, I think, at the Liberty Tour, live and right in front of everybody. The issue with the Bundy Ranch situation was rare earth elements, and Harry Reid, in his agreement with the Chinese to make sure that that grazing land would never be used, and they could start mining the rare earth elements there underneath that grazing land and push Bundy off his property, just like they had done with the 51 other ranchers up there. That's the plan. Kick these people off their property, BLM seizes it, manages it, and then they sell out contracts to these other governments and entities to sell off the mineral rights. They're doing that right now in the Platte River, or the Flathead Indian Reservation along the Kerr Dam. But they're doing it with Turkey. Turkey has the mineral rights for uranium. Get it? Money that's raised from that ultimately gets into the Barack H. Obama Foundation, which goes to help support Al-Qaeda.
Vicious circle.
Pardon me?
It's a vicious circle.
Yeah. The Coogan is the lead attorney who found this out. We have articles on Agenda 21 Radio about that. Type in Kerr Dam, K-E-R-R Dam. The articles appeared in Breitbart and also the New York Times and Agenda 21 Radio. So Chris Street did quite a bit of research on it. Yes, ma'am.
What state is the Platte River in?
Well, it's also in, I'm sorry, it's the Flathead Indian Reservation, and that is in Montana. Right, Montana. Well, I think did I say Platte River? I meant Flathead Indian Reservation. I kind of got the two confused. Anyway, other questions on that? Yes, ma'am. Bundy's? Okay, yeah, and let me get to this. I'll cover that question in a second. Yes, sir.
There's two things I want to say. My wife and I went to that 13 hours. Didn't take us very long at all to figure out why they wanted that Stevens dead. He knew too much.
Right.
And did you notice in the movie, the American troops came in and took the computers and left. And then when they got word that Stevens was dead, they came back and rescued the rest of them. And did you notice one thing? Not one shot was fired against our military. They come in and out, no problem. The second thing I want to say to you is why don't you and the rest of us start calling our senators and Donald Trump, I guess he's the only one who's got any guts to say what, say how it is. Why can't we do something about what you're saying?
Well, I'm just sort of arming you with the information right now to go do that. And quite frankly, I've talked to Donald Trump and his people.
When are they going?
I've taken that initiative myself.
Right now is get nominated to be the President of the United States.
Right. And yet, listen, I'm just the messenger, so.
Well, I'm just telling you, we got to tell the Congress.
That's right. No, listen,
When's that going to happen?
I think that you go to Agenda 21 Radio, go to Breitbart, go to the New York Times. There's some pretty stunning articles, even in the New York Times, about Hillary and all this stuff. And Fox News and Catherine Herridge in particular. Catherine Herridge is her name. In particular, and you got the documentation that demand answers from your congressman. And by the way, don't be surprised if they'll be very timid, because some of them might, and I don't know all the names, but from what I understand from what Napolitano was saying and some of the intelligence that I have, there's a sizable number of congressional leaders that have been involved with the gun running schemes and getting payoffs for it. And once that information starts to get out there, that's when the things really start to blow up. But I do know about John Boehner. I do know about John Boehner. I was told specifically about him. Yes, sir.
I was reading today that Chris Ann Hall is being badmouthed by the sheriff of Haney County.
I bet she is, you bet.
And the special prosecutor in charge. And both those guys came from Salt Lake City, and they were kicked out of the Salt Lake City office because they were stealing documents.
Right, corruption.
So
Yeah.
then they didn't fire them, they shipped them over there.
Right. Well, it's kind of interesting, the Federal Bureau of Investigation guy, the article was written by Red Smith, by the way, from the Shasta Lantern, and he contributes to Agenda 21 radio show, the radio show, and also to the website. And about the,
Donald Trump to listen to Chris Ann Hall's presentation. I'd love for him to listen to that.
well, let me tell you that the long and short of what's happened up there with this whole Bundy situation, the Bundys know about the minerals. They're on to that. I've just told you what the Bundys all know. They got that when their dad's ranch was being overtaken because they wanted the minerals underneath the ground, plus it's frackable oil under there. The state of Nevada was putting out oil leases, especially the southern portion of Nevada, at the same time the Bundy Ranch thing was happening. And his you know, there's a place called, I think it's called Gold Mountain or Gold Butte. It's chock full of gold and uranium. So that's on the Bundy Ranch. See, this is a game they know. And that's why they're taking the risk that they're taking. What is happening here is not just like your typical law enforcement thing happening. You know, they're using the government to be the brown shirts to kill Americans wantonly to protect the property they're stealing. That's really what it is.
But how do we get anywhere when all the judges have fixed and fought off?
Let me explain that. At the beginning of every one of my shows, I make the statement, well, hello and welcome to Agenda 21 Radio. This is the radio show that is stopping totalitarianism, one community at a time. And if you notice on my shows recently, I talk about one Burns at a time. And that has significance, doesn't it? Because I'll tell you how the information superhighway works, and let's use Chris Ann Hall. How many saw Chris Ann Hall at the Liberty Tour here, or saw her here with the Tea Party? Okay, I call this the Chris Ann Hall effect. And if you notice, go to my website, you'll see a whole bunch of articles about it, and it substantiates everything I say, because these are some national articles, plus Chris and myself and Red, we've written the articles in there. But the Chris Ann Hall effect is perhaps one of the most intriguing and awesome experiences of my life. You know, we've had her here 3 times at the Liberty Tour up in Nevada City. It was really awesome. But, so, you know, she's a strict constitutionalist. God, these constitutionalists. By the way, how many of you consider to be constitutionalists? Raise your hand. And I just need to tell you, since you raised your hand and you're in this room, you're considered to be domestic terrorists by this president. Isn't that what? Don't you just love having that target on your back? I wear it with pride. I wear it with pride, and you should too. He ain't seen nothing yet from this domestic terrorist. Nothing. And they're about to be terrorized. They're about to be terrorized.
We got a letter from Admiral Turner. When you go to the grocery store or wherever and you're checking yourself out, all of those people are going to be laid off. They want to get everybody on credit cards and they're going to do away with the American money.
Right.
This came from Admiral Turner.
Right. That's part of their plan for a long time.
Do not use those automatic checkout stamps.
Okay. But I want to tell you about this whole thing about what you can do. Now that I'm telling you this information, how many have just heard this for the first time? Or it's clarified now, really for the first time. Okay, now you have an obligation to go out and tell other people. Okay, that's one person at a time. But the bottom line, this whole issue in Harney County is not about minerals. It's not about militia. It's not about guns. It's about the First Amendment. You see, these people in Harney County have been beat down so long by the federal government and local government, they don't know up from down about the Constitution. They really do not. They do not know what their rights are. It wasn't for Ammon Bundy. By the way, Ammon Bundy and his people, early in November, sat down with David Ward, the sheriff up there. How can we resolve this problem? Was their thing. We want to help Harney County to resolve it. Wrong man, because Ward is a non-elected sheriff. He's appointed by a corrupt judge by the name of Gadsby. That's who he's appointed by. Grazie, I guess it is. Right, but everybody's corrupt. Now, why are they corrupt? Because Uranium One, the company, is starting to set up a business there to mine uranium through Oregon Limited, which, by the way, I just found out, the leading organization for thorium development and thorium reactors is the University of Oregon at Corvallis. In the world. Only one in the world. How convenient. Yes. Is it you? Which one's at Corvallis? Oregon. Oh my God. Listen, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I don't know my state for my universities up there. Yeah, I don't want to get those guys mad at me. So that's an important issue to remember. You have a line of corruption going on. So Ammon meets with these guys. And to me, in my opinion, I think Ammon, I have not talked to the Bundys, but I think Ammon figured out real quick that this guy, Ward, has no clue about the Constitution. And he wasn't a constitutional sheriff. I don't know. I just recognized constitutional sheriffs once I talked to him for 2 seconds. But he did not even know about the Constitution, up or down. So they started to have these meetings, the Bundys did, with the community up there, and enlightening them about their constitutional rights and property rights. And the meetings grew. And it became contentious. Because half the population up there works for the BLM.
They started swinging towards the fire department.
Constitution. Well, you can't have that. So what did the people of Harney County do? They invited Chris Ann Hall for 2 days. I thought, I got the message from that. I know some of you guys did because we talked about it. Should we go up there just to see what's going to happen? Because we knew there was going to be a nuclear detonation. And sure enough, the first night, they had it at the military armory up there, and over 400 people packed the house. The next night, it was standing room only, well over 500 people. And she was teaching about the Constitution. On the 20th, a woman by the name of Donna Hammond gets up. And she gets up in that same armory to confront the so-called sheriff and the judge in the safety panel. And she asks them, do you know what your oath of office is? Do you know about your constitutional responsibilities? To which they sat there sucking their thumbs. And the crowd was cheering them. 2 days later, U.S. senators from Oregon go into Jim Comey's office, and they demand the FBI take action because, quote, they don't want this virus to spread. That's quoted.
The Oregon governor was behind that too.
Yeah, right. Get what the virus is? It's the Constitution. It's the Constitution. And it's just taken over Harney, especially now with the shooting. More and more people are going, give me that little Constitution thing. Let me read it. So it's spreading even worse, well beyond what they thought. So they have a problem on their hands, especially now with the shooting of Lavoie. All right, Wiki, you ready? Oh, Wiki, wake up. Okay. I'll give you a rundown. I've interviewed a number of people, talked to a number of people. I interviewed Victoria Sharp. Myself and Scott Bennett did. Remember Scott Bennett, the other troublemaker on the planet that we created from the Liberty Tour? God, how can we do that? Right. We're trying to keep him out of prison because they want him to shut up. Trust me. This is how the interview went, by the way. Every time Scott and I start an interview to do something on the radio, we get shut down. All communications lost. Skype's down, phone calls down, everything. This has happened 3 out of 3 times here recently. So sure enough, we're ready to go. We got it dialed in. I got the recorder going. We're ready to do our things. And Scott says, well, talks and introduces an introduction. All of a sudden, blank. Everything's done. It's gone. So 10 minutes later, we're back up and running. But that's what happens because they're listening. But let's talk just for a second about Scott Bennett. Scott Bennett is a big problem for them now because you see these Hillary Rodham Clinton emails are substantiating what Scott Bennett has said all along. Hillary Rodham Clinton financed, and so did Obama, financed ISIS. And everybody's looking at that one now. So the world is getting a little bit different for Scott. Okay, yes?
One question on the gun running stuff. Have any of these emails tied together with the Fast and Furious thing in Mexico?
Yes.
Leland Yee, is that all coming together?
Yeah, I don't know about Leland Yee, but God, I love beating up on him. The guys who got some of the California gun laws in, by the way. But there's going to be more about Leland. And this is what I understand about Leland, just to kind of get, you know who Leland Yee is? He was the guy who was convicted for gun running. And he was dealing with Al-Qaeda in Subic Bay. And he was shipping not just guns, but the Stinger shoulder-fire type band pads. The ones that are portrayed, actually, in the 13 Hours. Those. Because, you see, all those weapons, once they got past Benghazi, got out to the rest of Al-Qaeda. So Leland Yee was going to buy those things. Plus, howitzers. Have them shipped to New Jersey into California. Why?
They don't know who Leland Yee is.
Former state senator. Yeah, big-time Agenda 21 guy.
We had 2 cohorts that were assemblymen in Southern California.
Yeah, and he also had, what was his accomplice in,
Shrimp Boy.
Shrimp Boy! Shrimp Boy, the real thug, real stand-up thug. But Leland Yee is singing. That's what I hear. I don't know what he's singing yet, but he's singing. He doesn't like being a boy in that hotel he's in. Okay. This is the beginning of this. Now, how many of you have worked around drones? Come on. One over there. Some don't want to talk about it. Around drones. Knowledge of drones. This is described as an airplane shot by the FBI. Now, we have told you, and I've talked about this openly on the air ever since this thing went operational with the federal government, that the CIA was involved, and the CIA being John Brennan. That's where this goes. This is a CIA operation. The drone operation specifically is CIA. That's a drone, it's not a plane. We're not, it's kind of like this is what the federal government thinks, that we're just stupid. But I have friends who work on drones. That's a drone shot, and you'll just see how this goes. Anyway, where this is right here, the FBI released this picture. The white dot on the road is Lavoie's truck. And it's traveling northbound on 395. And it's about to be pulled over for the first time. Go ahead, Wiki. It'll click in to get a closer view in a second. This is a drone. This is not a helicopter. It's not a plane. It's a drone. He's coming up to some vehicles here, and the vehicles are state police vehicles.
Excuse me, why is there a drone following an automobile on a road if there's no crime that's been committed?
They're gonna do a traffic stop.
They're going to do a traffic stop, yeah, right, with a drone. by the CIA.
Yeah, there they
Now, you know, I wish I had that happen to me.
are. Ambush.
Okay, just slow it down here, or when it gets beyond the tree, stop it, Wiki, if you can. Okay, let me set this up for you. Back behind them, the Jeep CJ containing Buddha, who you know because he's been here at the Liberty Tour, and Ammon Bundy, and another guy by the name of Mark McCoy. Mark McCoy was the driver. Mark McCoy was the first guy to jump on the videos and say, hey, he shot, you know, he ran at the police, you know, I saw the whole shooting. Mark McCoy never gets beyond this location. He's a federal agent. We found that out. Just to let you know. Okay. There are two vehicles here. Inside that vehicle, 2 women and 3 men. Ryan Bundy, Ryan Payne, Samantha Cox, Victoria Sharp, and Lavoy Finicum. Lavoy's driving. Payne is in the driver or the passenger side, right side. The 2 vehicles behind are starting to get rid of the men inside of them, all camoed up, be tactical, and so on. Go ahead, Wiki. They get a little bit closer. Lavoy smartly pulls to the middle of the road, not the side of the road.
Why do you say smartly?
Because he didn't want to leave his, he wanted to see all sides, not just be parked in an embankment. Okay, we're getting pretty close here. When you have really good resolution, they ask that this is a so-called felony stop. Law enforcement, you guys know what that is. Felony stop is when they have permission to pull their guns out. Yet again, Carla brings up a point. Warrant, and what are they being charged with? Interesting question, because at this point in time, I'm asking the same question, and so is Chris Ann Hall. Okay, stop there. You can't see it here too well, but the arms are out. Payne is right there next to the crosshair, and you see these guys dressed in tactical. This is what happens at this point. Right in the middle of the screen, right next to the truck. He's on the passenger side. And they have their hands out the window like this. They've been asked to put their hands up. They're complying with the request of law enforcement. And their open discussion inside that car is, this is an ambush. They're going to kill us. That's what they're saying. And then all of a sudden, Payne has his arms out the window, and they shoot at him. And the bullet doesn't hit his head. Thank goodness. It hits the stem of the mirror that's attached to the car. They shoot at him. Now, that's called a shooting stop, I guess, right? I've never heard of one of those legal terms called a shooting stop. State police. Law enforcement help me out. Is there a shooting stop? I don't think so. Never heard of that one. And by the way, this stop right here, which is known as a felony stop by all law enforcement officers, the Sheriff Ward just said it was a mere traffic stop. So you had to bring out about 60 vehicles to pull these people over. Plus a drone, right? Everybody gets one of those when they're pulled over. And a robot. How many? What does she know? She was in the truck. Okay, go ahead and run it, Wiki.
Paul?
Yeah.
I saw on Facebook today where some witnesses said that at that point, that truck was shot twice. That's why he decided to take off.
Okay, and I haven't heard that yet, but I have heard, because I was on Dave Hodges' show last night, and he did an interview with her, and I was listening to the interview at the same time I was on the show. He did an interview with Samantha Cox, and she definitely confirmed that the bullet hit that mirror portion, but I have not heard about a second shot. But that could very well be.
The back of the camper had 2 more bullet holes in it from that incident right there.
Okay, so I can't confirm that, but I wouldn't put it past him. Okay, they take off at this point, right, Wiki? He's driving up there, what's he doing?
They're shooting at us, so they're taking off. Why not?
No. Okay, there's the Jeep. That's the Jeep that was originally stopped. Okay, that's with Ammon in it and so on. They arrest those three, and then the car takes off here in a second. But at the time of the shooting at Payne, the talk was they're going to kill us all. And they were quite concerned that if they stayed there, they would just get shot and blown out right there. That was the open conversation in the car.
And the drone's on the other side of the road.
Yeah, the drone's now on the other side of the road. No, they fly at such an altitude where they can appear to be loitering, as it's called. And they can move their camera around in a turret and all that stuff. Go ahead, Wick.
It is. It's going.
Oh. You can see these guys on the right. Now, at one point in time, okay, they have Ryan Payne in custody. Ryan Payne jumps out of the car figuring they're going to kill us. He jumps out of the car, and they don't shoot him. They take him into custody. And just then you saw him kind of walk behind there. They have him in custody. And they're debating what are they going to do right now. And this comes from Victoria and also Samantha in their testimonies. And by the way, they had not talked to one another. Their testimonies like identical. It's amazing. He's going to take off here in a second.
There he goes.
He should have stayed there.
Pardon me?
He should have stayed there.
They were being shot at.
We let them arrest him.
They would have been obliterated.
The question is, the point is they should have stayed there and let them arrest him. I don't think let them arrest him was in the plan.
It was
Anywhere.
an alternative.
And you're going to see why in a second.
You know, from a drone, they can hone in on it and listen to everything they're saying in that band.
That's correct.
I know that for a fact.
And by the way, this signal goes to the White House and the CIA, and it goes to Homeland Security.
If they have sound capabilities, how come we're not getting to hear what's said when the FBI releases film?
The Patriot Act won't let us hear it.
Oh.
I'll bring that up in a second. He comes around the corner. Watch this very carefully. It's a blind corner. There are already snipers in the thing. It's a blind corner. Can't see the cars. Can we back it up, Wiki? And hold it there. Comes around the blind corner. Look at this. Watch the guy jump out in front of the vehicle from the side. An FBI agent. Watch it carefully. There he is. Boom. He fires a shot at Lavoie through the windshield, and according to Victoria, hit Lavoie. He was wounded before he left the vehicle.
Wow.
Stop. He exits the vehicle, and according to them, he exits the vehicle to draw fire away from them. They're already shooting at the vehicle. Lavoie's outside. He's got his hands up. He's facing the truck at some point. A guy from behind him, one of the snipers from behind, shoots him 3 times. And we describe it to Victoria, boom, boom, boom. She confirms it. She sees Lavoie go to the ground. He's reaching for his left side because he's wounded. He doesn't have a 9mm. He's shot. He doesn't have a gun in his possession, by the way. He doesn't have his guns on him. Go ahead, Wick. See the guy coming from the tree line on the left. You'll see him in a second. He's the shooter. Boom, boom, boom. Shoots him. He's reaching because he got shot. Down. A second later, there were 3 more shots that were fired. Not at the car, but at him, according to Victoria. They finished him off with at least 6. Yeah, guy shot him in the back. It's up to you. Hate to put the burden on all of us, but it's going to be up to us. But this was an assassination, plain and simple. Let's go ahead and run the tape, and I want you guys to understand something. When he hits the ground and the last set of shots are fired, the whole world opens up on the car. They're just riddling the car with machine gun fire. Ryan Bundy was wounded. Now I'll explain why they didn't, why this happened, why really they got very lucky. Because if you go back to the very beginning of this and you see where the roadblock was, had they stopped the car right in front of the roadblock, the angle by the snipers up in the woods was right into the car. And Victoria talks about this. She said, we knew that they probably couldn't shoot us because they had a bad angle. They were shooting at a side angle to the inside of the car. But there was a lot of light spots that were getting on there from the lasers. Yeah? Pardon me?
I'll back up about 3 seconds. Watch the passenger side window get blown out in front.
Oh, yeah.
Passenger side window.
So he wasn't shot by the drone.
Watch right. Passenger front.
Yeah, the past there.
Watch, there'll be another one here in a second. Those people are just sitting in there. It's sitting dust. Watch, there's another one.
They're shooting right now. See that?
Right. You can notice when you run through this, the puffs of smoke and windows being broken and stuff like that. You can see that in the windshield in front of the driver, there's another shot. Windshield in front of the driver where the hole is, that's the one that wounded Lavoie originally. It's a shattered spot on the window.
Nobody's going over there to help.
No, and I'll tell you, you're just about to be really outraged in a second, so.
Those vehicles don't look like bombs.
These guys, everybody's ducked down on the floorboards. And they're taking fire like crazy, flashbang grenades going off, tear gas going off. It's just unstoppable or unceasing machine gun fire. And here's the deal, they had weapons inside. No one touched a gun. No one fired a gun. Lavoie was unarmed. Tom?
I heard, or I read earlier tonight that the gun that they said Lavoie had, the 9mm, was, they traced the serial number and it was a stolen gun.
Okay, that I cannot confirm that, and I think that was already brought up earlier by Dominic. But I cannot confirm that. I really can't. My sources cannot. If my sources can't confirm it, I'm not going to go out there. I've seen the email. You know, there's going to be people wanting to do the right thing on both sides and stuff. Go ahead, Wiki.
Well, that was it. I can back up.
Oh.
This doesn't have everybody getting out?
Yes, it does. It's going to show it.
Okay, with all the laser red dots?
Oh, yeah. Pay attention when people start to get out of the truck and the red lasers on them. And if you haven't seen it already, but when you go back and take a look at this for yourself, notice the red lasers on the head of Lavoie as he lays on the ground.
Yeah.
Didn't the one eyewitness say that she had 20 lasers on her at one time?
Yeah, Victoria.
Her whole body was cut.
It
She
just
had a
lasered
white
right
out-
up. And
she
you'll
had a
see
white
it if you look
outfit that
carefully
was
here in a
red.
second.
That's
There
for
were so many
traffic stop.
lasers, her whole body looked
They're
red.
trying to get them to stop the firing at them right now. They're screaming and yelling. And then somebody that's really wise, there's more firing. Well, that's the same thing. But they're screaming and yelling, and somebody realizes it's a woman who's screaming and yelling. So they say, hey, there's women in there. Really? Unarmed women, I might add.
They got a good lawsuit against them, don't they?
I think that's it.
Well, you got the judge.
What are we watching here, Wiki?
That was the end of that video. I didn't have, that one did not show.
The exiting? Yeah, there's more footage. Oh yeah, there's body cams and everything. So if you expect to see those, forget it. They've already been FOIA'd, and the government has said this is an act of terrorism, and because of the Patriot Act, they have no responsibility to show anything. They have, this is interesting, we're not sure what they do have. They did get their phones back. They have audio, we believe. I know that they said they did, but really when I meant to ask Victoria the question, did they clean your phone before you got it back? Okay, any more on that, Wiki? Oh, is this the long version? Okay, here we go. Yeah, go ahead. Huh, that's interesting. They're not showing the full version here. Oh, because they probably didn't like the part that I pointed out on Agenda 21 radio. I bet they didn't. If you go to Agenda 21 radio, you'll see a picture in the upper right left-hand corner. And it's a picture of how they did not give first aid to Lavoie. They just let him die. Coldly let him die. And not only that, they were laughing and basically high-fiving and showboating that they killed him. They were kind of lording over the body. And that, Samantha was saying, was the worst of all. There we go. That's it. No first aid. None. Took plenty of pictures. Brought out a bag and took something out of the bag and apparently put it on Lavoie. We haven't been able to track what that is. Gee, I wonder if that's a stolen gun or something. That's what we can kind of discern from some of the pictures. That's just I shouldn't be out there saying that, but that's my guess. You know, I'm guessing. They've been, I think, offered bail. Bail was denied. Some got out. Samantha Cox got out. I have no idea why. She had to go back today for a hearing. I don't know the outcome on that. The rest are still in custody. Oh yeah, Mark McConnell. Yeah, they let him out right away. He never even got into the custody system. They just let him go because he was the guy that was the plan for the federal government to tell them about where they were going. We've already figured that one out. So we'll let the Patriot Network take care of that one. Pardon me? I have a feeling he'll be located. Anyway, so this is probably a pretty dark history for our country. It's the first time we've really seen the Patriot Act at work. No. The people have already put in for FOIAs, and they've been told right away, no, it's Patriot Act. The need, well, this is get rid of that so we can have Posse Comitatus back. You know, this operation here is a CIA, Army, State Department, I mean, you name it, all the usual suspects are there operating this. And this is something that's really important for them to stop the virus, right? They want to stop that constitutional thing. That's really what this is about. Yes? Absolutely. Yeah, we need to keep that in mind, the history, how this all got there. The Republican George Bush was the one who put this into play, and Obama has just honed it even more. But this will be one of the first cases that will be ever tried or ever brought to the Supreme Court in a bid to destroy the Patriot Act as unconstitutional. There's no question that that's where this is all headed. This is well beyond Ruby Ridge. You know, when you bring in these kind of assets to kill innocent civilians, Americans, and we're, by the way, all of you out here, because we're terrorists, I guess we're subject to a road stop. A traffic stop. I mean, it gives a whole new dimension to traffic stop for us Tea Partiers, right? We're the drones.
I've had a lot of traffic stops, and I actually been doing stuff wrong, and I never had that.
No, I know. Charging, though, let me bring this up. According to Samantha, as I was listening to her last night, they took these three, and they took them back to where the green truck was, and they sat there for several hours on the side of the road. In the cold. Well, they were still in the trucks, of course. But here's the thing. In fact, by the way, it's a cute little thing. Samantha had to go to the bathroom.
I'm surprised
she had to pee.
This long.
So she slipped out of her handcuffs, and they had a container, and she went to the bathroom. And of course, that just stunned her. It's just a little side note. It's in the program. Just want to let you know a little personal thing about her. Anyway, so this is what was going on in the car. And it goes back to my whole point. Where was the warrant? What charge were they charged with? So what they did is they were debating the officers. What do we charge these guys with? What is the criminal offense that they committed? What do we charge them with? That was the discussion in the car.
They had to call it off first.
Well, yeah. Well, we planted the no, just kidding. I can't say that.
The young girl was, she caught a ride with him because she was going to sing.
Correct.
You know.
Yep, we have a good rendition of the songs that she and her family were singing for the Bundys at the refuge. And you can see it on Agenda 21 radio. Pretty good big little band. And they were going to see Sheriff Palmer in Grant, Oregon. I'm sorry, in John Day, Oregon, in Grant County. And you can see they did not want them to change jurisdiction from Hammond to Grant because you had a constitutional sheriff in Grant County. And that was their destination. And what they were going to do, they had a community meeting up there. Now, I've heard reports they had 200, they had 300 people waiting for them. And it was going to be Victoria's family band that was going to play for them, as they had played before. So that was why she was in the car. She was just sort of a tag-on. She arrived late to basically at the ranch where the refuge was. They just took her along to meet up with her family. She had no dog in the hunt, you know what I mean? She just wanted to sing.
She was going to sing Star Spangled Banner.
Right. Right. Oh yeah, here they start to get out.
So, what, did they ever charge them with anything? During their arrest?
They've charged him with some,
Can you share a red dot laser?
I don't think terrorism.
Interfering with a police officer.
I'm not sure what the charges are right now. But from what I heard from attorneys that were talking about the charges originally that they put in this affidavit, they unsealed the affidavit. Apparently they were going to charge him some pretty weak charges of like trespass and criminal trespass, that sort of thing. Nothing that was really anything that would be life-threatening or shouldn't be. It's not a terrorist act what they committed and were charged in the charging sheet or the sealed document. And so I don't know what's happened since then. I just haven't caught up with the course. Now, Chrisanne Hall probably has some more information on that because she's keeping real good tracks of this right now on her Facebook and her website and her radio show. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I missed, how many stores did they burn down there?
Gosh, you know, and how many bricks did they throw at the police?
Exactly, I mean, that's what I missed that part of it.
Wiki, do we have that part? We show the burning buildings and things like that. Yeah, it's a double standard, and we're the criminals. Yeah.
Are you afraid?
Me? No.
No.
I've got an aluminum hat that will protect them.
I have a pretty good Kevlar helmet. Yes, ma'am.
You better watch out, you know, there's plenty, there's bodies that show up everywhere. In fact, I'm surprised there haven't been any bodies showing up lately.
You just haven't seen them. Listen, I got to tell you something. This is the way I look at it with Clinton and Obama. They need to look out for me. And they need to look out for you. Because we can talk to one another, and that's the most powerful tool there is to stop the totalitarians. And you don't think they're scared. These people are on the edge. To go out and do this and show their card like this, they're out there. And they're worried because look at the collapse that's about to happen with this house of cards.
Yeah, but you know what, I don't think she's really afraid. I think she thinks she is so far above and beyond reproach, that she's probably got dirt on Obama, he pardoned her before.
You too. Stick around a while. We might need you. Even if it's on.
Maybe, but she's not going to run for president.
Every time he talks.
And I don't think that she's just going to suffer a hand slap based upon the hundreds of lives that have been lost because of her open email access.
You know, we go and we fight Vietnam, France,
Right.
and our boys think we're doing the right thing. We're over there to help. All this conversation.
Nobody gives a what? I'm sorry, I missed that part. Yes, sir.
You
Right.
know, they're not going to call their eyes burn.
Ken.
Okay.
Did you leave it?
And the Attorney General, I gotta cut it off because we're gonna go to a happy hour now.
We're running out of battery.
Anyway, yeah, we're running out of batteries, but wait for Loretta Lynch because she's another wild card and Comey is not backing down. He is not backing down. The investigation is widening. More people are starting to be surfaced out as spies. This is not going to rest well with the American people when it's all explained. And we're in that process right now. Thomas, last question, then I got to go. Because I got to go to Applebee's.
We tried to get on that deal in Atlanta, where they would not let us, well, we got an ordinance, but they would not let us get in there. Why can't they get in? They said because they're not Japanese, they said they sold this property to the Japs.
Right.
To BLM.
Right. They're stealing from the American people. Thomas.
Isn't Comey the one that ordered this deal here?
No.
No?
No, I don't think. He may have ordered some movement, but I don't think he ordered this. There's a good FBI and a bad FBI out there. We saw the bad FBI players here. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. 14:10 a.m. When you leave here, there's more information about this. 14:10 a.m. 14:10 a.m. 14:10 a.m.